My name's Ethan Miller, and I swear on all my textbooks and in used gym shoes that I had no clue what I was walking into the day I got my acceptance letter from Westbridge University. I thought getting into a top-tier school meant freedom, ambition, and maybe a little bragging rights with the boys. I didn't expect it to come with a girlfriend who would slowly, systematically try to turn me into her personal ATM. I grew up in a pretty comfortable family. Not rich, but comfortable enough that when I aced my college entrance exams and got into a 985 equivalent school across the country, my parents hosted a banquet for family and friends. My grandparents gave me 20 grand as a reward, and with all the red envelopes from relatives, I was sitting on a little fortune before I even left for college. My dad joked, "Ethan, you're basically rich already. Graduate and you'll be unstoppable." And yeah, I smiled and told him I'd take care of them in the future, even though I'd always been careful with money. My parents had a really generous with support, but disciplined with spending, so when they gave me a monthly allowance of $3,000, they told me if I ever needed more, I should call them, not borrow from friends. It sounded like a dream setup, especially when I researched Riverside City's cost of living and found out that a student could live fine on just $400,500 a month. But that was before Emily Carter entered the picture. Emily was the class beauty back in high school, elegant, poised, with this sweet, almost delicate way of talking that made people naturally want to take care of her. We were seatmates for 3 years, just regular classmates until the day before the college entrance exam, when we both admitted we had feelings for each other and made a pact: if we got into the same college, we'd date. And we did. We both got accepted into Westbridge. I was excited. I mean, what are the odds? But Emily's family wasn't like mine. Her background was modest, and she had a younger brother still in high school. Her mom had always been frugal, and Emily told me straight up that her monthly allowance was just $300, barely enough for Riverside. I didn't say anything at first because I didn't want her to feel embarrassed, but she looked at me one day and asked, "How much are your parents giving you each month?" I hesitated, told her not to ask, but she kept pushing. Finally, I said a $3,000. Her jaw dropped. "That's 10 times mine," she gasped, then immediately started ranting about how girls needed more clothes, skin care, hair appointments. "You guys can wear one outfit all year," she said. "I need long skirts, lenses, makeup. Isn't it supposed to be raise sons poor, daughters rich? This is so unfair." I was stunned, and a little annoyed. "Do you even hear yourself?" I said. "If raising boys poor and girls rich is fair, then what do you want? Just because girls spend more, doesn't mean that boys should be expected to spend for them. Maybe it's because we were raised to be disciplined that we don't throw money around." She pouted and stayed quiet after that. A few days later, our school had one of those post-graduation charity sales where kids sell old notebooks, bags, and random stuff. I brought a bunch of things I didn't need anymore, including this branded sports backpack that had cost me over $500 back in the day. Emily came along but didn't sell much. She said she was saving her stuff for her brother. At one point, she asked in this soft voice, "Ethan, can I get that bag?" My brother saw it once in the mall and really wanted it, but it was too expensive. Honestly, I hadn't touched that bag in a year, and I was feeling generous, so I gave it to her. She looked up at me with those big eyes, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "Thank you, hubby." Later that night, her brother even texted me to say thanks. I didn't think much of it. Summer flew by, and before I knew it, it was time to move into the dorms. My parents booked me a flight. Emily took the train. We agreed to meet on campus. On our first night at school, I wanted to celebrate, so I picked out this mid-range restaurant close to the university. Nothing fancy, just around $70 per person. Emily walked in, looked at the decor and the menu, and her face fell. "You eat at places like this?" she asked quietly. "If you weren't treating me, I wouldn't dare to step inside." I told her it was fine, it wasn't even that expensive. But she looked away and mumbled, "My mom cut my allowance to $100 this month, said my little brother needs it more for test prep." That caught me off guard. "Didn't you say she gave you $300? I asked. She nodded sadly. "Not anymore. She says it's too hard to support 2 kids at once. I didn't comment, even though I was internally thinking this was kinda messed up. I told her I'd help her find a work-study job. But she looked at me with this wounded puppy expression and said, "Babe, if I can't afford to eat, you'll take care of me, right?" And right there something clicked. I started seeing a pattern. It wasn't just that her mom lowered her allowance. It was the timing right after she found out how much I was getting from my parents. Was this planned? Was I being set up? I wanted to believe the best in her, but deep down, I knew something didn't add up. I'm not her husband. I'm a college student living off my parents' money. They're giving it to support me, not someone else's daughter. So I didn't answer right away. She stared at me, waiting, and when I didn't speak, she pressed again, "You really won't help me?" I shrugged and said dryly, "So you're going full gold digger now? Doesn't that make you feel weird?" She bit her lip, eyes watering. Ethan, the guilt hit me, and I softened a little. Okay. I'm not trying to be a jerk. But seriously, if this is your mom's way of getting me to pay for you, that's messed up. Just be honest with me next time. She stammered, "No, it's not like that." I nodded and said, "Sure. But just so you know, I control my own wallet. That's all I'm saying." The rest of the evening felt tense. I lost interest in catching a movie afterward, and we just walked back to campus. The next day in the cafeteria, she bought a bowl of mixed noodles while I got a roast duck combo. I was starving and devoured half my meal before she snapped, "You didn't even ask me before eating the duck leg." I blinked. "What?" "You're selfish," she said, voice quivering. "Other boyfriends always give their girlfriends the best stuff. You just eat everything yourself." I was done. I dropped my chopsticks and looked her straight in the eye. "Emily, I bought this meal with my money. What's the issue here? You want the duck leg, just say so. Don't turn it into a lecture." She pouted and mumbled, "Fine, I'll eat it." I sighed. After lunch, we passed by the fruit shop and I picked out some lychees and watermelon. Emily suddenly appeared with a box of durian and that same pitiful face. "Can I have this too?" she asked. I added it to the bill. I didn't even care at that point. But by the end of the month, when I checked my bank app and saw the crazy drop in my balance, I realized something was seriously wrong. I hadn't been eating out that much. I didn't buy any gadgets or go on shopping sprees. Yet somehow, my expenses were doublino, triplemy roommates. I started reviewing the details: snacks, makeup, skin care, socks, random Amazon orders, toilet paper. All Emily. All because I said yes too many times. That was the beginning of the end. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay there in my dorm bed, scrolling through the transaction history like I was reviewing my own autopsy report. $10 here, 20 there, 15 on some random cosmetic item I never touched. I started seeing a pattern: everything Emily touched had a trail leading back to my card, even stuff like takeout that I didn't eat, or Amazon orders I never placed. I stared at the total, and my chest tightened. Somehow I'd burned through nearly $2,000 that month, and I hadn't even splurged on anything for myself. That made me snap. The next evening, when Emily came bouncing into the dorm hallway asking if I wanted to grab dinner, I said flatly, "I've started a fitness plan. Gotta cut down. Just eating eggs and boiled chicken from now on." She blinked, confused. "Wait, why? You're not even fat." "It's not about looks," I muttered, "it's about discipline. Controlling what you eat is the first step to controlling your life." She laughed nervously, then tried to coax me out of it. "Come on babe, don't be so hard on yourself. Girls like guys who are chill. Besides, if you keep dieting, you'll get grumpy." But I stayed firm. I even started boiling eggs in the dorm microwave and packing plain chicken breasts into Tupperware. I wasn't just dieting, I was staging a rebellion. What pissed me off the most wasn't just that Emily used my money, it was that she always played it like she wasn't. She'd act all pitiful, say she didn't want anything, then slowly wrapped me around her finger like it was my idea to buy it. It wasn't even obvious manipulation, it was this soft, sugar-coated kind of guilt. She'd get me a $5 bubble tea, then hit me with the line, "My bestie said her boyfriend took her to a rooftop steakhouse." Crazy, right? I'd feel the pressure build like a loaded silence, and then I'd cave, swipe my card for sushi or Korean barbecue like I was buying back my masculinity. The thing is, she never asked directly. That's what made it hard to call her out. She played it like sharing, like we were in this together. And I wanted to believe it, I really did. I mean, she waited for me to eat every day even if she was starving. My roommates would joke that I landed a goddess sweet, pretty, loyal. But they didn't see the pattern forming underneath, like vines creeping up the wall. First she'd pretend to have no appetite, nibble a bit from my plate. Then she'd get comfortable enough to eat half of it. Then she'd order for both of us. I didn't notice how far it had gone until I realized she'd eaten all the mangosteens I bought for my roommate Nathan as a thank you. That was the final straw. I got back to the dorm, opened the fridge, and saw the empty box. "You couldn't leave me too?" I asked her. She pouted. "I've never had mangosteen before. My parents never buy that stuff." "You're seriously mad over fruit?" I clenched my jaw. "It's not the fruit. It's the principle. You can't just help yourself to things you didn't pay for." She rolled her eyes. "You're stingy. You get $3,000 a month. This is pocket change." My blood pressure spiked. "Yeah, my parents gave me that money for me. Not for you, not your brother, not your fantasy lifestyle." We argued right there in the hallway, and when she left, I went for a run around campus just to cool off. But the anger didn't go away. If anything, it calcified into something cold and sharp. I stopped eating with her altogether. Every time she showed up at my dorm like a puppy in the rain, I'd wave her off with, "Still on the diet." She tried everything, texting me photos of our favorite dumplings, sending me crying emojis, even dropping by with fruit saying, "Look, I'm taking care of you this time." But I stayed distant. I couldn't afford another emotional overdraft. Then came the phone incident. I needed a new phone. My old one was laggy and out of memory. Emily tagged along to the mall and helped me pick one out. At first, it was nice. She seemed genuinely helpful, comparing models, checking reviews. But then she kept steering me toward the most expensive one. "It's $1,000, but totally worth it," she said, her eyes gleaming. "It's good for pictures, videos, no lag at all." I hesitated. She nudged me. "Come on babe, you deserve it." So I bought it. Right after I paid, she grabbed the box and smiled. "I'll take it back and put on our custom couple's phone case, remember? It'll be a surprise." Something in my gut twisted, but I let her walk off with it. The next morning, my roommate Nathan asked, "Hey man, where's that phone you bought yesterday?" "Emily's customizing the case," I said. He blinked. "You seen her latest Snapvid post?" I shook my head. He handed me his phone. There it was, Emily's grid of 9 selfies with my phone in full view. Caption, "New phone, who dis? This camera is unreal 2 hearts. I stared in disbelief. "She thinks it's hers," Nathan said. "Dude, she played you." I grabbed my bike and raced to her dorm. She came down all sweet-faced, but I didn't have time for games. "You posted selfies with my phone and called it yours. What the hell, Emily?" She looked flustered for a second, then tried to pivot. "Babe, it was just to make my roommates jealous. They always brag about their boyfriends. I just wanted to show them I'm not behind. I didn't mean anything by it. I wasn't having it. Give me my phone back." "But I haven't finished customizing it. I'm not playing, Emily. Either you hand it over now or I'm calling the cops." Her eyes narrowed, but she relented. "Fine, take it. You're so dramatic." She marched back upstairs and returned with the phone, muttering something about me being ungrateful. I took it, but something felt off. The screen was warm. When I unlocked it, a video was uploading to Snapvid some dance clip she'd filmed for her account. But worse than that, she'd forgotten to log out of her messaging app. A new message popped up, "Won't brother Ethan be mad?" It was from her younger brother, Eric. I wasn't gonna snoop, but curiosity got the better of me. And thank God it did, because what I found made my blood run cold. Their entire chat was a masterclass in manipulation. Eric had messaged her, "You really got Ethan to buy you that phone? That's not right, sis." And she replied, "It's fine. He's got money, and he's easy to control. He doesn't even realize he's being played." Then she sent screenshots of my bank balance. Somehow she'd seen it and added, "He's sitting on more cash than our family's savings. If I don't spend it, someone else will." Eric, bless his conscience, tried to warn her. "This isn't okay. You're gonna ruin the relationship." But she kept brushing it off. "If he dumps me, I'll just cry a little, threaten to call the cops, and say he forced me. He'll crawl back, guaranteed. All I have to do is act like the victim. He's soft like that." My hands were shaking. But she wasn't done. I joined a girls' group online. We share strategies. One girl got a guy to pay her rent for 2 years using guilt. It's easy if you know the moves. Eric finally snapped. "You're crazy. I'm not talking to you anymore." But she kept typing, boasting about how her looks gave her the upper hand. "If I marry him, we'll get a new house, and he'll pay for your college too. Don't worry, I got this." I was done. The phone almost slipped from my fingers. Everything she ever said, every hug, every kiss, was laced with calculation. I looked up at Nathan, who'd been reading over my shoulder. "This is sick," he said. I nodded. "I'm not letting this slide." I spent the next few hours screenshotting every message, organizing it into a neat, chronological slideshow I titled Gold Digger Protocol, Case Study, Emily Carter. Then I started a group chat. Only 49 male students allowed, all vetted, mostly student union heads and club leaders. I dropped the PPT and watched it spread like wildfire. What happened next would change everything, not just for me, but for Emily, and maybe even for the entire male population at Westbridge. But I'll get to that. Once the group was formed and the PPT dropped, it took on a life of its own. At first, it was just quiet murmurs, nods from guys who'd seen red flags in their own relationships but never had the guts to call them out. Then it went viral, well, as viral as it could get in a 49-member male-only underground Westbridge group. But those 49 weren't random. These were student union reps, club presidents, orientation mentors, the kind of guys who had reach and influence, the kind who could casually mention something at a party or over lunch and watch it ripple through the social ecosystem. Within a few days, Emily Carter had unknowingly become infamous across campus. She still thought it was her natural charm drawing all the stares. I remember her texting me all giddy, "Ethan, you have no idea how many seniors keep looking at me. I guess I'm really popular here." I didn't reply. The next message came minutes later, "But I only like you. Don't ignore me, okay?" Classic. It took her another 2 days before reality hit. She must have noticed that some guys started keeping their distance, and girls, especially the sharp ones, began whispering whenever she entered a room. One evening, my phone rang. It was her. The second I picked up, she went full nuclear. "Ethan Miller, you're a monster. You ruined me." I didn't say a word right away. I calmly tapped the record button on another phone and said, "Emily, what exactly did I ruin? Your plan to keep bleeding me dry. Your dream of marrying into my family and using me as your walking bank card." She gasped. "You're twisting everything. I was just joking with my brother. It wasn't real." I laughed. "Oh yeah? Was it also a joke when you said you'd accuse me of forcing you if I tried to break up with you? Or when you bragged about how you joined a Rich Girl Guide to Manipulation chat group? What part of that was a joke?" She tried to shift gears. You've gone too far, Ethan. You didn't just break up with me, you destroyed my reputation. No one talks to me anymore. My professors look at me like I'm radioactive. Do you want me to die? I stayed calm. No, Emily. I want you to live. I want you to live every single day knowing exactly how it feels to be exposed. You didn't just make one mistake. You plotted. You lied. You tried to trap me, and if I hadn't seen those messages, you might have actually ruined my life. I hung up before she could say another word. Then I submitted the recording to the school's student affairs office, along with a formal report. I figured nothing would come of it, but to my surprise, the administration took it seriously. They called Emily in for a series of conversations, and though they didn't expel her outright, she was placed under academic probation and warned that any further inappropriate conduct could lead to dismissal. The police didn't have enough grounds to charge her, but they did call her in for questioning after I submitted the chat history and audio clips. That scared her enough to stop trying to contact me at least for a little while. The moment I knew I was truly free was when Nathan leaned over during lunch and whispered, "Dude, she's sitting alone. No one even makes eye contact." I turned around and saw her by herself at the far end of the cafeteria, eyes down, food untouched. Her glow was gone. No makeup, no performative sweetness, just silence. I wish I could say I felt good about it, but honestly, it was just quiet. Peaceful. The kind of peace I hadn't had since high school. For a while, things went back to normal. I hit the gym again, not to diet this time but because I wanted to feel like I was building something for myself. I went out with friends, played some league, actually focused on my classes. But Emily wasn't done. 2 weeks later, she texted me from a new number, "Ethan, please. Everything before it was a misunderstanding. I really liked you." I blocked it. Then she started showing up outside my dorm again, waiting in the cold, hugging her knees, trying to look fragile. "Please don't leave me. Give me another chance," she whispered one night. My roommates were watching from upstairs like it was an episode of some messed up reality show. "Yo, she really doesn't quit, huh?" one of them said. I nodded. "She's not here for love. She's here for survival." And it was true. Word had gotten out. No guy in school wanted to touch her now, not after that PPT, not after all the receipts. So her strategy shifted. Getting back with me wasn't about romance, it was damage control. If we got back together, the narrative would flip. Everything would turn into just a lover's spat, and people would forget. The story would change from Emily the gold digger to Emily and Ethan had a rocky start, but love wins. But I wasn't about to give her that lifeline. Instead, I went to the dean of my college and calmly explained that I felt threatened, that her repeated appearances near my dorm were a form of emotional manipulation, even harassment. The dean didn't even blink, apparently they'd been keeping an eye on her too. A week later, she disappeared. Rumor was she dropped out and moved back to her hometown. One of our mutual friends said she was planning to retake her SATs and apply to another college under a different name. Her family, apparently, wasn't thrilled. Her dad screamed at her for embarrassing the Carters. Her mom blamed her for not being subtle enough. Emily blamed her mom for everything. She told me to use Ethan, she reportedly cried to her bestie. I just wanted to make sure we could be together, and she said boys with money need to be pushed. I didn't know it would backfire. Sure you didn't. Honestly, I believe that her mom was a big part of it. The screenshots from their conversations were full of wild advice. Don't cook or clean for him, baby. You're the prize. Men are supposed to spend on their women. If he doesn't spend money on you now, he never will. Act cute and cry when needed. That kind of toxic chicken soup for the gold digger soul nonsense. But Emily wasn't innocent either. She loved it. She enjoyed every bit of it. She bragged about her techniques, gave her brother tips, laughed when I paid for things I didn't need to. And now that the storm had wrecked her future, she wanted to rewrite the story and blame it on someone else. I wasn't buying it. What amazed me, though, was how many people quietly came up to me afterward. Not to gossip but to thank me. "Dude, my ex used to pull the same crap. I thought I was just being too sensitive," one guy said. "I almost loaned my girlfriend $5,000 for some emergency that never made sense," said another. And just like that, the group I started took on a new purpose. It became a permanent club. The Gold Digger Defense League turned into the unofficial brotherhood of Westbridgeways, capped at 49 members, always passed down from upperclassmen to new initiates. Every guy who joined took a silent oath: "We don't hate women, we just watch for the red flags. We don't assume guilt, but we trust our instincts. And above all, we always keep the receipts." When I graduated, I handed over leadership to the junior student union president. He looked me in the eye and said, "I won't let this die. This is bigger than just you or Emily. This protects all of us." I nodded. Gold diggers are getting smarter. You have to be sharper. Then I walked away, free for the first time in a long time, leaving the torch behind but not the lessons. For a while, life felt normal again. With Emily Carter finally out of my daily orbit, it was like someone had opened a window in a suffocating room. I could actually breathe, actually enjoy college without tiptoeing around emotional landmines. My grades improved, my wallet stopped bleeding, and my sanity slowly stitched itself back together. The Gold Digger Defense League kept growing behind the scenes, low-key but effective, like an underground brotherhood of receipts and reality checks. New members brought new stories. One guy got hit with a rent emergency scam, another realized his angelic girlfriend was secretly running 3 emotional support boyfriends at once. Our group became a firewall, a flashlight in the shadows, and even though we never made it public, people could feel its influence. Girls who had bad intentions stopped targeting guys so easily. Rumors flew. Some girls whispered that there was a blacklist, a secret council of guys who could cancel anyone. Others said we were a bunch of toxic incels gatekeeping relationships. But the truth was simple: we're just tired of being emotionally mugged in broad daylight by people who wore heartbreak like a weapon. That said, I wasn't angry all the time. I wasn't bitter or broken. If anything, I became more observant, more intentional. I started noticing things I used to brush off: the girl who never ordered food but always picked at yours, the innocent friend who forgot her wallet 3 dates in a row, the flirt who asked for favors wrapped in flattery. I wasn't looking for problems, I just didn't pretend not to see them anymore. And then, just when I thought Emily was gone for good, she pulled her final card. One cold afternoon, about a month after she'd ghosted from Westbridge, I got a text from an unknown number. "Ethan, please read this. Just once." It was a link to a Google Doc titled, "My Side of the Story" by Emily Carter. Against my better judgment, I clicked. The doc was long, emotional, and dripping with selective truths. She painted herself as a naive, broken girl who only wanted love, a girl who came from a cold family, who didn't understand how relationships worked, and who made mistakes because she was desperate to be loved by someone like me. She called our relationship beautiful but complicated, and said she was pressured by her mom to act in ways she now regrets. She never denied what happened, but she softened every edge, twisted every fact until it became a misunderstanding instead of a manipulation. She wrote, "Maybe I wasn't perfect, but neither was he. Ethan had money and power, I didn't. I just wanted to feel safe, to feel equal. Can you blame a girl for trying too hard to keep the boy she loved?" And at the end, she added, "Please don't hate me. I already hate myself enough." For a split second, I paused. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted to reply. There was a time when that kind of vulnerability would have cracked me open like a dropped phone. But not this time. Because I remembered the screenshots. I remembered her smiling as she planned to use me. I remembered the message where she literally said, "He's soft. I just need to cry and he folds." That wasn't love. That was a playbook. And I'd been the fool reading it with my eyes closed. So instead of replying, I shared the doc with my group. "She's trying to rewrite history," I typed. Don't fall for it. They didn't. We didn't. But Emily didn't stop there. She knew she couldn't win in our school anymore, so she tried something worse, reaching out to my high school friends. She started messaging old classmates, saying I went crazy, that I abused her emotionally, that I hacked her phone and framed her with fake screenshots. She even told one of my female friends that I was manipulative and vindictive, and begged her to talk some sense into me. I found out when that friend called me in confusion and said, "Ethan, I don't know what she's talking about, but it sounds serious." I laughed bitterly. She's just trying to poison the well. So I took a deep breath, gathered all the proof screenshots, chat logs, video timestamps, and emailed them to a few trusted friends from back home with a note that said, "If she contacts you, this is the truth." That killed it. Her attempts to rewrite the narrative fizzled out, like a bad PR campaign without traction. After that, things were quiet. Rumor had it that Emily tried to enroll in a community college near her hometown but was denied because of disciplinary reports from Westbridge. Her family fell apart. Her mom blamed her for failing the gold digger plan, her dad refused to pay for a second chance, and her brother, bless that kid, moved out to live with a cousin just to get away from the madness. The last I heard, Emily was working at a boutique in her town, still pretty, still clever, but somehow faded. No more campus queen, no more high heels and selfies. Just a girl stuck in the ruins of her own schemes. Some people said I should have felt sorry for her. That maybe she learned her lesson. But I didn't. Because the truth is, people like Emily don't change from pain. They change when they lose their audience. And if she ever found a new one, she'd probably put the mask right back on. What I did feel, though, was something close to closure. Not revenge, not triumph, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing I saw through the illusion and walked away before it was too late. I didn't let love blind me. I didn't let guilt chain me. I didn't let manipulation become my normal. And yeah, maybe that made me colder. Maybe I'm not the same wide-eyed guy who thought giving your girlfriend a backpack was just being nice. But I'm sharper now. Smarter. And way less likely to mistake flattery for affection. The group lives on, stronger than ever. Every year, new guys join, old ones graduate, and the cycle continues. We have files now, not public, of course, but internal case studies. Lessons. Warnings. Signs to look for. It's not about hunting anyone down. It's about protecting each other in a world where fake love is often more dangerous than real hate. One of our newest members asked me the other day, "Ethan, would you ever date again?" I shrugged. Sure. But next time, I'll look past the makeup and the tears. I'll look at how she treats the waiter, how she talks about her parents, how she reacts when I say no. He laughed. Damn. That's cold. No, I said. That's warm. That's safe. That's sane. And in this game, that's everything. Just when I thought Emily Carter had vanished from my life for good, she slithered back in like the last ad you forgot to block, persistent, irritating, and somehow even more desperate. It was halfway through the spring semester when I got wind of it. I was sitting in the campus cafe, sipping black coffee and editing a group project when Nathan slid into the seat across from me with that expression that always meant, "You're not gonna believe this." He tilted his phone toward me, and there it was, another burner number had texted me. The name wasn't saved, but the message was unmistakably her brand of pitiful poetry. "Ethan, I miss you. I've changed. Please don't hate me forever." I didn't reply. I didn't even flinch. But then the text started coming daily. Different numbers, different variations. Sometimes emotional, "You were the only one who made me feel safe." Sometimes manipulative, "No one else will ever love you like I did." And sometimes straight up delusional, "We belong together." Everything else was just noise. I blocked every number like it was a mini game of emotional whack-a-mole. But she didn't stop. A few days later, I walked out of my dorm after a late-night study session and found her standing under the lamppost like some scene out of a cliché drama, arms wrapped around herself, hair a little messy, eyes red. Please, Ethan, she whispered. Talk to me. My jaw clenched. Emily, you're not supposed to be here. You don't even go here anymore. I came to visit a friend, she lied without blinking. I just wanted to see you. I miss how things were. I stared at her for a full 5 seconds. Which part? The lies? The manipulation? The part where you said you'd accuse me of something if I didn't keep funding your shopping habit? Her face twitched, like she hadn't expected me to hit that hard. I was stupid, she said. I listened to my mom. I didn't know how to love someone properly. But I do now. Do you? I said flatly, or do you just realize no one else is dumb enough to fall for the same act? Her eyes filled with tears, but they didn't hit like they used to. They didn't pull me in. They didn't weaken my resolve. If anything, they reminded me why I built walls. She took a step forward. Please, Ethan. Give me one more chance. Just to talk. Just to explain. I looked around, saw a few students watching, then met her eyes. You get one chance. 10 minutes. In public. That's it. We sat down at the metal benches near the quad. She launched into a monologue about her life after Westbridge, how her family turned on her, how her mom blamed her for blowing the whole thing, how her dad refused to fund her transfer plans. She cried about being alone, being misunderstood, being labeled. I made mistakes, she said, but you exposed me like I was a criminal. I just wanted someone to fight for me. You could have helped me become better instead of tearing me down. I let her talk. Let her twist things into half-truths and emotional bait. Then, when she finally paused, I leaned forward. You know what's wild, Emily? You're still doing it. Even now, after everything, you're trying to flip the story. Trying to make it my fault that you lied. That you used me. That you bragged about trapping me. You're not sorry for what you did, you're sorry it didn't work. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. You were never a victim, I said. You were the architect. You built the scam. You recruited your brother. You took advice from your mom like it was gospel. Don't act like you just stumbled into it by accident. She looked down, fingers clenching the edge of the bench. I stood up. Conversation over. Don't contact me again. If you do, I'm getting a restraining order. Her voice cracked. You're really this heartless? I turned to her one last time. No. I was heartful. That's why you were able to break me. But I'm done being your emotional charity fund. I walked away and didn't look back. After that, she didn't appear on campus again. But a week later, someone sent me a screenshot from a gossip forum, a long anonymous post titled, "What Happens When a Girl Gets Framed by Her Rich Ex." It was all the usual gaslighting, how she was painted as a gold digger unfairly, how screenshots can be edited, how some guys think money means power. He had everyone fooled, it said. But no one asked what he did to me. I didn't reply. I didn't post a rebuttal. I didn't even screenshot it. I didn't have to. Because people in the comments weren't buying it. Is this about Emily Carter? Someone wrote. We saw the receipts. Another one said, you manipulated someone, got caught, and now you're playing the sad girl card. Grow up. The post was deleted within 24 hours. I didn't hear from her again after that. Maybe she got tired. Maybe she found someone else. Or maybe for once she looked in the mirror and saw herself without the filter. Around that time, the league upgraded from a loose group chat to an actual private server. Still invite only, still 49 members max, but with better moderation, secure logins, and a submission system where anyone could anonymously report concerns. We even had a review board, now 3 senior members who would fact-check claims before posting anything. Our goal wasn't to shame women, it was to protect guys from being emotionally exploited by serial manipulators. We had a motto, not anti-love. Just pro-truth. Some guys called us soft vigilantes. Others called us necessary. I called it justice. And as weird as it sounds, the whole experience changed how I viewed relationships, not just romantic ones, but friendships, family, even myself. I learned that love without boundaries isn't love. It's martyrdom. That guilt is not proof of wrongdoing. And that just because someone says they need you doesn't mean they respect you. One day, a freshman came up to me after class. He looked nervous, like he was asking to join a secret society. "Are you Ethan Miller?" he asked. "I heard you started the league." I smiled. "Maybe. I wanted to say thanks. My ex tried to pull some of the same stuff. But thanks to the group, I spotted it early. Walked away before it got messy." I nodded. "Good. That's the point. Walk away when it's wrong. Don't wait until it explodes." "Do you think," he said, "people like her ever change?" I paused. "They can," I said. "But only if they want to. And only if they admit what they did. Most don't." "What about you?" he asked. "Did you change?" I thought about that one. Yeah. I used to think love meant sacrificing without limits. Now I think love is a contract, respect in, respect out. Break it, and we walk. He grinned. "That's cold, man." "No," I said. "That's maturity. And maybe that's what this whole journey was really about, not revenge, not exposure, not even healing. But growing the hell up." Graduation came faster than I expected, like a quiet alarm that had been ringing in the background for 4 years and I only just heard it. One minute I was walking into freshman orientation with a duffel bag full of ambition and zero clue what kind of emotional roller coaster I was about to ride, and the next, I was holding a cap and gown, packing up my dorm room, and preparing to walk across a stage like none of it ever happened. But it did happen. All of it. The dinners, the guilt trips, the late-night apologies that weren't really apologies, the silent resentment building like mold under the wallpaper, the chat logs that burned like gasoline when I finally read them in full, the group of brothers who stood up and said, "You're not crazy, man, we've seen it too," and the girl who thought she could twist love into debt and affection into control. I thought I'd feel more bitter walking out of Westbridge, but I didn't. If anything, I felt clean. I'd been forged in the fire and came out sharper, not colder, just smarter about where I placed my time, my money, my heart. The Gold Digger Defense League was still running strong, stronger than ever in fact, and in the final week before graduation, I called a meeting with the core crew to hand off leadership. We met in the same campus library study room we'd claimed years ago as our unofficial HQ, and the moment I walked in, it felt like déjà vu. Nathan was there, of course, still cracking jokes between serious observations, and a few of the newer guys sat upright like pledges waiting for a sacred torch. The guy I chose to take over was a junior named Jordan Westcomb, calculated, never reactive, the kind of guy who never says much but always pays attention. I looked him in the eye and said, "This isn't about hate. You know that, right?" He nodded. "It's about keeping each other safe." "Exactly," I said. "Don't let it become a weapon. Let it stay a shield." He gave me a half smile and said, "I'll protect it. I promise." And with that, I passed him the admin access, the folders, the files, the structure we'd quietly refined into something that mattered more than any student club ever could. I didn't make a speech. Didn't want to turn it into a farewell tour. But as I left that room and stepped into the afternoon sun, I couldn't help but feel like I was leaving behind a part of Menet, the scarred part, but the builder. The guy who turned pain into purpose. The guy who refused to just be another victim in someone else's game. In the months that followed graduation, I stayed low-key. Moved to a new city for work, started renting a small apartment with sunlight in the kitchen and no emotional chaos at the door. I didn't rush into another relationship. I didn't chase closure. I just lived. Peacefully. Quietly. Purposefully. Sometimes I'd get messages from underclassmen I never met, guys who found the league, who read the stories, who thanked me for saying out loud what no one else dared to admit. Some said it helped them walk away from someone toxic. Others said it made them pause before diving headfirst into something fake. One guy even told me it saved his scholarship because his ex was threatening to expose a relationship that never existed, and the league gave him the confidence and support to lawyer up and shut it down. Every time I read those messages, I felt this strange mix of pride and sorrow. Pride because the chain was still unbroken. Sorrow because it meant the problem hadn't gone away. There would always be Emilus. Always someone playing the sympathy card like a master pianist, hoping some guy too kind or too guilty will hand over his wallet, his schedule, his peace. And I guess that's the thing, being kind isn't the problem. It's being unguarded. And as messed up as it sounds, sometimes love becomes the perfect weapon when placed in the hands of someone who knows exactly how to aim it. I never heard from Emily again. The last rumor I caught through the grapevine said she'd moved back home and tried to enroll in an online university, but even there, the reputation had followed her. No one trusted her. No one wanted to pair with her for group projects. Her name had become code for something no guy wanted to be associated with. Some people said I destroyed her life. That I should have handled it privately. That I shouldn't have shared the messages, shouldn't have made that PPT, shouldn't have started the group. But those people didn't see what I saw. They didn't read the plans she made. They didn't hear her laugh while plotting to trap me with fake tears and legal threats. They didn't know what it felt like to be loved as long as you were useful. If telling the truth destroyed her plans, then maybe her life wasn't built on much to begin with. I didn't destroy her. She just lost access to the system she used to exploit others. And as far as I'm concerned, that was long overdue. I'm not perfect. I'm not bulletproof. I still second-guess sometimes, still wonder if I was too harsh, too clinical, too unforgiving. But then I remember that girl sitting in front of me, crying not because she was sorry but because she got caught. And I remember that not everyone who cries deserves forgiveness. Some people just need consequences. So if anyone out there finds this story, whether it's printed in some anonymous blog post, whispered about in dorm rooms, or screenshotted in group chats, and you're wondering what the point of it all was, here it is: don't let someone make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. Don't let love become a transaction. Don't confuse pity with responsibility. And for God's sake, don't let someone use your heart like an open tab. Close it. Walk away. Build something better. That's what I did. My name is Ethan Miller. And I might have been her target, but I sure as hell wasn't her victim.